And then we're going to share the screen. And then we're going to get started. So welcome to the Holistic Life team meeting for August 16th, 2016. And our topic for today is creating value brings success. And we are going to share some really important and wonderful information, kind of some of the things that we've been finding that's really made a difference for people, and just making their effort more successful. So anyway, I would like to introduce Marty Lash, who's going to be doing the first piece of this presentation. And I know most of you know Marty, and he is going to take over. So Marty, are you able, yes, you're able to control the screen. Okay, so go ahead.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to talk to you again, and thanks for the opportunity. We wanted to talk a little bit, and some of you, it's kind of like preaching to the choir a little bit, because some of you may be familiar with the subject, but I want to reiterate one thing, and that's that there's nothing worse than selling something that you don't believe in, and we all believe in the oil, so that's good, or that somebody doesn't want, and that's really hard. And I've done that many times, and it's a very uphill battle. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about selling something somebody doesn't want versus something they don't want. So, question, were you ever sold something you didn't feel you wanted or needed? And how did that feel? Well, you felt like you were tricked or cheated or fooled, and you really felt bad. And the worst thing is, when you got home, you said, did I really want that? Should I return it? I really, it leaves you with a very, very bad feeling. On the other hand, have you ever purchased something that you really wanted or needed, and how did that feel? Well, that feels great, right? We all enjoy buying something we need and getting the satisfaction and being accomplished and empowered. And the bottom line is, it's great when you buy something you feel like you need or that you want. So let's talk about creating value, because we've talked a little bit about that, but I can't emphasize enough that if you can create value in a contact's mind or a prospect's mind, if you can create that value and you satisfy that value, they will be okay with what you in fact provide to them. So creating value is obviously in the eyes of the beholder. So you can think you're great and I can think you're great, but if the person buying the product or the person you're trying to enroll doesn't feel like you are offering them value, they won't sign on. So really, creating value creates happy buyers, and happy buyers will lead to more enrollments, LRPs, users, sharers. The happier someone is, or the happier your team is, the more that they'll be interested in working with you more. And there are a lot of ways to create it. Probably the easiest way and the most satisfying way is to create value in your products and services that you offer and that you have, and identifying and satisfying needs for them, which can either be done in the very, very early planning stages, like when you're first starting to talk to them, and Margie's going to talk a little bit about that, or in the presentation stages. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So that said, what I'd like to do is just one more thing before we turn it over to Margie, is that in addition to creating value for the products and services, you want to create your value. And I'm going to skip to the last line first and say that anyone can buy anything on the internet for less money. Okay, we can all go out, we shop the internet, we can look, we can see prices, everybody's out there seeing prices and shopping, and usually it's cheaper. Usually you can buy it for less, but there is no support, there is no value, there is no anybody to help them when they need help. And you can provide that help by not only making a first impression that really is strong, by branding yourself, being impactful. You have to explain to them why you're into the oils, why you got started, because that is value to them. And that's your value. Your value is what you offer to them. And that separates you from a computer just ordering on the internet versus buying them from somebody who's qualified and expert and provides service. So I'm going to turn it over to Margie, and I'm going to let her take over from here.
Okay. So, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how we can create value through sampling. And it is a really super important thing. And if somebody might want to mute themselves, somebody that isn't muted that I think is on the phone, because I think it would be helpful to us hearing. Marty, can you go back one slide, please? Okay. So what I wanted to talk about is that the value we can create through sampling is really incredible. And I know we talked a little bit about this before, but the thing that is so incredible is that when someone is interested in oils and they try a sample that is really specific to what they need, then when they attend your class or you have a one-on-one, make sure that's what it is, they are ready to buy there because they've already had that experience. So one of the ways, you see here on the screen for those of you that are watching that can see the slides, there is a really great thing that I learned from watching Caroline Lee's Release and Soar Facebook presentation that she did a couple of weeks ago. And what it is, and I've got them right here, you can cut apart those little trio sample packs. So they come, got these little sample packs that come either the blends or the single oils, and they can be cut apart into, there's 3 of them in each package, and you can cut them apart and attach your business card to the back. And then you've got these little inexpensive samples that you can hand to someone. When you have prepared these ahead of time and someone says to you, oh, I have a stomach ache, and you say, oh, let me give you a little sample of our digestive blend. And you hand them a little sample of DigestZen, and then your card's already attached and they're all set and ready to be able to purchase from you, but we don't even expect them to do that. At that time that you share a sample with them, you also ask for their contact information and you tell them that you're going to check in with them in a day or 2. If they have a stomach ache right that moment, you can actually hand this to them, show them how to apply it, and get them feeling better immediately. Then you've already created the experience. It's not like they have to go home and use the sample. They're going to use it right there in front of you. If someone has, has some headache or something, and you decide that you can help them by reducing their tension by giving them a little bit of past tense. I don't know about you, but I carry past tense in my purse at all times, just in case I need it. But I'm also very willing to share it with someone else. So if they say, oh, I have this headache, I've been dealing with it all day long, and I say, oh, let me give you something that's going to help you reduce your tension in your neck and shoulders, and maybe it will help you to have some relief. And I just put a little bit on either the back of their neck, or I ask them where they're feeling the tension, and I put it on the spot that they're feeling. I just roll it right on them and then suggest to them that they rub it in wherever I've placed it so that they can feel immediate relief. And it's incredible to do those kinds of things because it's very, very powerful. So my recommendation to you is that, Marty, if you'll go to the next slide, I didn't take the control back. My recommendation to you is, if you haven't already seen the the no, back. If you haven't already seen the Release and Soar Facebook video by Caroline Lee, please join the Release and Soar Facebook group. And the link to that group is right here on the screen. So join that group and then watch Caroline Lee's video. It's very easy to find because it says Caroline Lee on the video. You can just scroll down a little bit on the page, and it's like I think it's 18 minutes, and it will tell you she gives you the scripts for your text messages. She gives you what you say on a telephone call. She gives you the whole thing. And I was going to recreate it, and then I thought, no, you guys go there and get it for yourself so that you will be empowered to actually use it because you've taken the time to go there. It's really quite incredible, and it will help you improve your success rate in enrolling people because it gives you all the tools you need for having a successful class, a successful one-on-one. And the important thing about that is you're putting in the effort anyway. So if you're making the effort, you might as well do it in the way that's going to benefit you and benefit the person that you're speaking with. So please, please, please take advantage of this wonderful set of tools that's been given to us for free. All we need to do is go and spend 15 or 20 minutes on the Release and Soar Facebook page, and we can learn lots of really wonderful things. So Caroline Lee's is only one of the weeks of wonderful videos, but there were 6 of them. They're all done now, so that you can just go and spend 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes a week and get all 6 of those done. And you will see that your business is moving forward when you take advantage of that. So please, 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 if you haven't already, please do that. And now Marty's going to move on with some more. You're muted, hon. You're muted.
No, I know. I just was saying I'm on mute, so I'll mute myself. But thanks. Anyway, I think it's really important. I just want to reiterate that, and I hear Margie talking all the time about it, but sampling prior to an event or sampling any opportunity you get, even she'll mail out samples for people to get them involved. It predisposes them to like the oils, right? So then if they're coming to an event or you're talking to them on the phone, they've already had that experience. So they're already they're already enjoying the oils and understanding the oils and starting to use them. So I just want to support that. But if you don't have the time to do that, or if they do come to or when you have a class, we've talked a lot about this, but and this takes you kind of like through the class and the key points, but I can't emphasize enough that creating value, the class is fine and the curriculum for the class is fine. But the most important thing about a class to me is that you establish yourself as a resource, as an expert. Even if you're not an expert, you're more of an expert than they are. You have knowledge, you have a good product, and you have to brand yourself as to what you're trying to convey to your audience so that you start to create value. And they see you as a resource. And I've been facing the internet for 20 years, the past 20 years, and I know some of you say, oh, that's a long time, but it is true. And it's always, you can, like I said, you can always buy things for less money on the internet, but you have to create your value. You have to establish yourself. You have to brand yourself so that when they think of doTERRA and think of you, they are confident that they're going to get that extra value. Now, what we've been doing at classes, we've been trying, and Sarah Rooney is going to talk about it in just a couple minutes, is to try and help them when they're at the class create value. I've been to several classes now, and I always am overwhelmed with the amount of information that's there. And I walk out and my head is spinning. But if I can just identify 3 things, if you can help me identify 3 things that are on my mind, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, or my family or financial or whatever, things that the oils might help me with, if you can help me identify that up front, then as you go through your presentation and you talk about the oils and their applications, it becomes much more meaningful. And by the way, if you have some people that want to share, I forget who it was, but I think Margie had a class where she did this, and it turned into, that's all she did, was everybody just shared, and they talked about the oils and how they could help and what the applications for. And I think she got 3 out of 4 enrollments, if not all 4. So it's really important, have them share if they're comfortable talking about how they might use the oil, and then begin your class, because that way they're looking for clues and they're looking for information that they can gather from you about how they can use the oils. So do that, and once they do that, this thing is lagging a little bit, the presentation. I don't know why it's, oh, there it goes. So then again, focus on adding the value, cover the, this is all what we talked about. I know that Laura has brought this forward, and I'm just learning more and more about this, but I think it's really important because, teaching to the kids. And why? Is because the kids identify certain things that are designed, they have certain content to help with these kinds of issues. So focus on the kids, talk about the kids, talk about the value of the kids and how they might relate in for their problem, so that they're thinking they're thinking value, and they're thinking solution. That's the whole thing. They are there not to hear you talk about oils, not to hear all about doTERRA, not to hear even about you, even though those are all great. They're there because they're looking for a solution to a problem. How can the oils help me? What do these oils mean? What can they do for me? How does it even work? So do that, and then go through the class. You can tell as you go through the class who's interested, who's talking, who's interacting a little bit, and focus. And when the class is over and you're winding down, focus on the people that have interest. Focus on the people with positive energy and the people that are going to support you, because other people will see that. If you go and you focus on people that are downers or they're naysayers or whatever, that kind of an environment is not going to be conducive to get other people involved. You want to try and focus on people where you're getting, I don't want to use this term, but I'll say buying signs from, that are interested, talking, asking more questions. Focus on them, listen to their stories, and again, help relate those into kids and how they can get more involved. And in the end, really, if you have branded yourself, if you've created value, if you've fulfilled their needs and talked about how to do that, you won't be selling. Anybody here want to sell stuff? I need a salesperson. You can come sell computers for me. I'm looking for people, but you don't want to sell things. You want to be able to offer things to people, to solve their problems, to help them, to work with them, and provide solutions. And anybody selling solutions is selling value. So I'd like to really let Sarah talk a little bit. I know she's been using this and she's had some really good results. So Sarah, if you could just unmute yourself and maybe spend a little time about what you used to do and how this may or may not impacted your classes, that would be great. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Rooney.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I have no idea if my face is centered, but because I'm on the phone. But I actually had an experience where I had a class that I didn't do as well as I wanted, and was thinking about, okay, well, how didn't I prepare the host, and what else could I have done better? And I was talking with Marty about it, and he said, well, why don't you be intentional about asking them what they need and want, what their health concerns are. And I said, well, I kind of do that, but they didn't really, anyway, it was a previous class, they didn't actually write it down. And they just kind of thought about it, and then I touched on it, but it was a little different environment. So this time I said, okay, I'm going to very intentionally follow Marty's advice and see what happens. And so it was a smaller group. It was all friends from past jobs and different things I hadn't talked to in a while. And ended up just saying what did they want and then asked if they wanted to share. So they did take a couple minutes to really write down what they had health concerns or health goals or whatever they wanted. And after those couple minutes, I said, well, if anyone's willing to share, and pretty much they all shared something. And after, at the end of it, they all enrolled. And they had smaller orders, right? They just had a couple things that they wanted, but they found the things that they wanted, that new added value that they really could use. And then I was able to tailor the class specifically to what they had said. So they were getting reinforcement for the things that they wanted. And the things they were, and so they were much more engaged than, I mean, even just the one class that it was the same week. So it was a drastic difference. Even though I kind of did it the first time, actually making them write it down so they knew. And then they made notes when I said something that related, or I said, oh, this would really help what you talked about. And so they were much more engaged, and it was, and I know that even though they were only able to do a small order, they were all wholesale, and they're going to continue as I do good follow-up and order more as they see results. So it was very effective. And so mentoring is very effective.
Thanks, Erin. I think thank you for sharing. And I think the important thing there, one of the highlights that Sarah brought out is that after they only started with small orders, but people want to get their toes in the water. They don't want to just start out, with some huge order and then spend a lot of money. But the follow-up and the follow-on, which of course is part of your value, and that's what you do. I know that Laura's really does a lot of follow-up and a lot of, as that happens, don't forget, they're predisposed. They're already seeing the value. And maybe they have a different thing they want to talk to you about. Maybe they have some other way they think the oils can help. So it grows from there. So the idea, again, is to create that value and then have it grow from there. And so what I like to do is just take a couple minutes too. And Margie, maybe you can talk a little bit about that class that you had where you basically ended up in a free-for-all, off the script, and basically turned into just sharing.
Right. So I taught a class to a group of people that I didn't know. It was my first Diamond Club trip this month. And I didn't know any of the people. I didn't even know the hostess. I had spoken with her on the phone. I had never met her until I went to this class. And so I saw this working amazingly because the people were so engaged in writing down the solutions that they were looking for that after about 3 or 4 minutes, they still weren't done. And so I waited until they finished. And I waited till all of them finished. And then I said, would anyone like to share what kinds of things they're looking for? And so one person said that she was looking for some help with sleep. And another person said she was looking for some help with mental clarity. I was like, did I plant these people? Because I mean, those were things I could address right away. And so it was really quite incredible. And then really what I never, ever ended up sharing the whole content of the class. We basically just shared what they were interested in. And then I fit in the content of the class, but in a more organic way so that they did get the information, but they got it in the way that they really could engage with it. And so we all know the information. So we don't have to follow our script. We don't have to follow that exactly. As long as we get the information in and we know when we're talking about a particular oil. For example, I was talking about Serenity. So while I was talking about Serenity, I said this one is a great one for topical and aromatic use. So I could talk about the 2 ways to use it. And then, and then I talked about, at some point we talked about lemon, peppermint, we talked on On Guard. So I could talk about internal use of oils and how that would make a difference. And so I was able to talk about the different uses of the oils, but I was still keeping them engaged because that's what we want to do. We want to meet their needs. This is really not about us. When we're there to share information, we want to share the information that's going to be perfect for the people that are attending that class. And so that is super important. The one other thing that I wanted to say, we know that sampling at the beginning, before they attend a class is perfect, but these people had never been, well, some of them had been sampled because the hostess was sharing oils with them. And most of them, I think, had some essential oil experiences. But even if you're like, we've had other classes, even this month, where people hadn't had an oil experience and they came to the class. And so what I would say, and what I've been sharing with people lately is if people come to class without an oil experience, give them an oil experience as soon as they get there. Ask them, maybe tell a little bit of, the hostess can introduce you, you can tell a little bit about your story, and then right away give them an oil experience. Whether it be, I know Laura at the last class I attended with her, she went around and put a little roll of past tense on everybody's neck and let them experience that. And that created a really important dialogue because then they felt something immediately within a couple of minutes. So I think all of this stuff is really important, and we will see a difference in our enrollments. And as I said, we're making the effort anyway, so we might as well be getting these people enrolled, not just telling them about the oils, but actually enrolling them. So
thanks, Margie. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Give you a minute to just a second to unmute yourself. Okay, good.
Just thanks for these tips. They're great. I am presenting in my network group tomorrow, and based on your presentation, I think I'm going to turn my presentation, which I have like 15 minutes, I'm going to turn it into more of a wellness consultation than a presentation. And I'm going to pass out the forms, and right away we're going to write down what people are interested in and what they want to work on. I'm going to completely change it because it totally makes sense. Then you're right, the meeting is more about them than my product. It's more about them and their issues, and then you want it to start there and turn around to your product. So the really great tips. I also have a little lunch and learn that I'm doing on Thursday, and I'm going to do that. I have 4 women that are coming to that, and I'm going to do the same thing. So thank you. This is awesome for this.
Great.
I can't wait to see what you create, Kim, because I know this is going to make a huge difference.
I think so too. I think it's just a different way of thinking about it.
We've always been wanting to serve the people that are in front of us, but this really does it. Instead of us thinking that we're going in to teach a class, we're going in to serve them and meet their needs exactly.
That's perfect. Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, I think, I will almost guarantee that if you can create that value in their mind, address their needs, and then provide a solution, you don't have to sell anything. People will buy it. I mean, why wouldn't they buy it? I mean, why wouldn't they, even if they're not sure, why wouldn't they try, right? I mean, there's no guarantees in life. Try it. It might help you with your problem. It might help you. And I think getting a group interactive, it creates a whole sense of energy, right? If you're just standing and presenting information, that's great, but it's kind of passive. They're just sitting there listening, and you're the one who's the active one. Getting them involved, getting them active, getting everybody active together creates an excitement, and it creates a lot of sharing and knowledge. And I think that's the key to success for this type of environment. And again, don't forget about that sharing and doing that up front too, because that lays the foundation for them to come, already in that mindset of solutions and helping them with any issues they might have. So
yeah, that's the other reason why I was really torn between whether to do a presentation with my laptop or not. And I haven't done that yet because I feel like not doing that and just standing up there and presenting gives a little bit different feeling that people can interject and talk, and you know what I mean? When you have a presentation it's so much more formal when you have a presentation in front of you on a laptop. Sometimes people don't want to interrupt.
Right.
And so I was going to do a presentation, but I think I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it more relaxed and stand up and talk like I usually do, that gives people an opportunity to interject, and they don't feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And I agree with you. Yeah.
I think a presentation is fine. Most people don't, if you're reading a presentation, then obviously that's not going to be, there's not going to be an interaction there. But if you use a presentation, and you don't have to, but if you use it sometimes, a lot of people like it for a cue or for just, some pointers as they're going along so they don't get off track, which is really great. But nobody wants to see you read a presentation. I don't think anybody here actually reads the presentation. Right. Because then you might as well just send it to them, and they can read it themselves. So I think that whether you use it as a cue just to cue you up for the conversation, or whether you do the conversation, I sometimes just write down some things and make sure I cover them.
Right. Can I say something about that too, Kim? So what I'm thinking, because I'm getting ideas, because I'm going to have to speak at my networking group too. What you could do is, kind of do a presentation where you talk about the basic stuff that you want to talk about, and then have towards what I think I'm going to do is kind of in the middle, I'm going to kind of have a handout that's going to have like those 4, like those little buckets where they could rate those things. And that would be a great thing for you to be able to set up one-to-ones afterwards, because you're not going to be able to get with everybody, at least in my group. So that would give me an ability to then set up one-to-ones to talk about those things that they brought up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you're going to find that they come to you,
right,
to set up those things. If you can convey to them, the benefits and how it helped you, and what, and they can start to see how they might want to try it, I guarantee you, they will come to you and say, oh, let's set up a time, I want to learn more, I want to try it, or, that kind of thing. So I think, that's however it works best for you, the timing and all, as long as, again, I hate to kind of beat a dead horse, but it's not a dead horse, because as long as you can create value, as long as you can satisfy a need, as long as you can provide a solution, I guarantee they're going to be interested.
Yep. Great. Thank you. These are great tips for what I have going on this week.
Good. Good. I'm glad it was timely. Anybody else have anything to share? Okay, my little clock on my computer says it's 3:32, and so I'm gonna. Margie, do you want to?
I have 2 more slides. If you would forward them for me, because I don't have the ability to do that now. I have to figure out how to take you off of that.
Okay.
I'm waiting for it to come up. So I wanted to do announcements, because I tickled you. I teased you a little bit with telling you that there was this wonderful announcement. And so what I want to tell you is that the certified site program that we talked about last month is now open to all wellness advocates. So anyone that has a website, has a Facebook page, has a Twitter account, has an Instagram account, all of those kinds of things. This is supposed to be attached to a static website. So the program is really for people who have some online presence with a website. So if you have a website and you would like to be able to attach all of your doTERRA pages, whether they be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever it is, to your static website, you can now become a certified site like I did. And it doesn't matter what rank you are, they're opening it to everyone. So I will forward to all of you the information, the contact that you can respond to if you would like to take advantage of this program. On the email from him, his name is Sean Heaney, and Sean has a link to the certified site program application. So you can either just fill out the application, or you can contact him and he will get you started. It's wonderful because he will make sure that your site is compliant, and all of your pages that are attached to that, anything that has your name on it, your LinkedIn page and all of those things, everything is 100% compliant. And so then you can feel really comfortable going forward and promoting yourself everywhere that you have a presence. So I wanted to share that with you. So I will send you that email when we are done with our call. And the other thing is I wanted to remind you about the promotion this month because it's such an awesome one. And anyone who's speaking to anybody in the next 2 weeks, through the end of this month, be sure to mention that they're going to get this promotion in addition to all the other benefits that they have. So, for 160 PV, this is the first time doTERRA has ever offered an incentive like this for less than 200 PV. So for 160 PV, these oils, as we all know, the lemon, the lavender, and the peppermint have over 100 different uses. And so they are super important ones for people getting started with essential oils. They're also really important for people that you already have as customers or wholesale members and they haven't placed an order lately. This is an awesome time to get them to place an order, encourage them to take advantage of this promotion. So I know that a lot of us have already sent out a lot of emails to people and really encourage people. And I have gotten lots of the email. I think I sent about 120 or 130 out. Individual emails that I personalized each and every one. And I think I've gotten back about 7 or 8 responses, which is a lot. But I also I noticed that a lot of people just went in and set up their loyalty orders or changed the amount or placed an order that they had. So they didn't even contact me, but what's the word I'm looking for? I've
re-energized.
Well, yeah, it resulted in orders. So our volume went up, and that's awesome. So, and the people got the oils that they really needed to take care of themselves. So it's pretty awesome. So I think that is all for our meeting. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. I'm really glad that you were able to be a part of this, and it is recorded, so any of your team members that would like to hop on the YouTube video on my YouTube channel, they will be able to do that. So you can just, I'll be sending out the link as soon as the thing finishes uploading. So thank you all, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.